Suzilla with Matt and Suzie at Suzie Health Solutions.
Hello.
And today we're going all ancient school.
Ancient school.
Ancient school.
Not just old school, but ancient school.
Ancient school, because we are going to go all about the 7 Virtues of Bushido.
Oh, so we're going with positive virtue. Positive virtue was our conversation today.
Correct, because we were discussing things back and forth as we apt to do in the car.
Yes.
And because one of our favorites is compassion.
Yeah. Compassion, which unfortunately is lacking in some people.
Well, it is, and it's one of the 7 virtues. And samurai are kind of big mythical warriors out of the Japanese era.
Yes.
And one of the things that they did when they weren't out beating each other up and, listening to what the warlords had to tell them to do, they were tasked with teaching.
Okay.
So it's kind of a very important culture to kind of pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And that's why I go back to it every so often. It's like, okay, what do we got? And compassion is one of those things it's lost, And I got a little cheat sheet here. And if an opportunity does not arise, they go out of their way to find one.
So your samurai will go out of their way to find an opportunity to offer compassion.
Yeah, to do a good deed.
Okay.
It's the whole concept of pay it forward. These guys were doing it back, in the 14th and 15th century.
Yeah, okay.
So we are talking ancient school here.
It says they help their fellow man at every opportunity, and if an opportunity doesn't arise, they go out and find one.
Yeah, it wasn't all about every man for himself.
No.
And, this is an ancient culture. It's like, this is why we've got a lot to learn from, history.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, history.
Oh my gosh.
But let's see here. That's Susie's text. We're working on updating our system. Let's just kind of work down the list and talk about it. With the first one being integrity.
Okay.
Warriors make full commitments to their decisions.
Okay. That is something that you do instinctually. Or you've worked on it, and as long as I've known you, your integrity's always been.
Well, yeah, you've known me for ever.
Well, you don't normally, I think, maybe once you've changed your mind about something?
I have this insane ability to commit to action.
Yes.
I will adjust along the way.
You will, but there's only been one time where we made a decision and we changed our minds about it midstream. That I'm aware. I mean, there's
big decisions, yes, but we are famous for doing Plan Bs.
Oh, well, yeah, that's different though.
Sort of.
Yeah, Plan B is just moving with the groove.
Yeah. The more details out to be acutely honest throughout your dealings with all people. Yeah. All people.
Yeah.
Believe in justice, not from other people, but from yourself. To the true warrior, all points of view are deeply considered regarding honesty, justice, and integrity. Okay,
so if you've never met Matt, you should know you'll be hard pressed to find somebody who is more honest than he is. He just lives his life. He's true to himself. He's true to he tells the truth to other people, and because sometimes the truth can be difficult, sometimes he just doesn't speak, which is, I don't know, that's a whole other concept.
That's a whole other.
But he's because he's not cruel, but he's also, you'll never catch him in a lie.
Well, you bring up the next point, which is respect.
Yeah, that's true. And that's sometimes, well, to be courteous even to your enemies. And that is, if you can't be kind, at least be courteous.
Well, yeah, and a true warrior has no reason to be cruel.
Right. Cruelty is unnecessary.
You don't need to prove your strength.
No.
Your courtesy to your enemies. Warriors are not only respected for their strength in battle, but also in dealing with others.
Right. It's not just about how you deal with yourself and how you present yourself. It's how you interact with folks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about honesty. And respect is really important because it's not just respect for others, but respect for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you have that sense of respect that comes at least partly from having solid integrity, you're going to be easier. You'll be certainly be more comfortable in your own skin if you respect the way you deal with yourself.
Well, one way is you get a feeling when you're being disrespected.
Yeah.
You know instinctively, it's like these folks aren't paying attention to me. They're not listening to me. They're making me as wallpaper.
Yeah. I mean, women are notorious for having that happen to them all the time.
Mm-hmm. And that's an example of being understanding that situation that you're in, mm-hmm. and then figuring out what to do from there.
Right.
Getting that action plan of getting out there and saying, okay, right. It's also how you treat people. Mm-hmm. You see someone, that's been pushed aside out there. It's like, okay, they've got something valid to add to the conversation or the situation. Let's bring them in and find out what's going on.
Exactly. Okay, so next bit is heroic courage.
Oh, I love this one.
Okay.
Because this is one that we can really see today in the whole mask situation.
Okay, so it says, hiding like a turtle in a shell is not living at all.
Yep.
A true warrior must have heroic courage. It is absolutely risky. It is living life completely, fully, and wonderfully. Heroic courage is not blind. It is intelligent and strong. Okay, so the whole mask thing is a connection you want to make there.
Correct. Because if you think about it, there was a group of folks that are saying, oh, hey, this doesn't exist. We can go out and live our lives. Only a minor little bit's going to be dead.
Yeah. Only a fraction of the population's going to die from it. Like they didn't matter.
Well, and then they turned around. There was a large group of folks that infected themselves or others and either died or got, injury.
Long-term haul, COVID, just general sickness.
Yeah, just a general mess. And the thing is they weren't intelligent or strong about it. Mm. They expressed fear about, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my job. Okay. Or I won't be able to pay my bills.
Well, that's
or
valid.
There's not enough to take care of whatever.
Well, that's a valid fear, though.
It was only actually, a lot of the people that expressed that were really well off.
So that was what your concern was.
And they were fueling it. A good example of that was our city's Pay It Forward program. If you got a stimulus check, there was a group of people that expected you to pay it forward to nonprofits.
Yeah. You were going to, if you don't need your $1,400, give it to us.
And in reality, the ones who printed up those signs, odds of them actually getting a stimulus check were probably slim to none.
Because they were making bank to begin with. Yeah.
So they were promoting this image of, oh, hey, let's, be courageous and do this sacrifice, and it was just a complete lie.
Isn't that virtue signaling? There you go.
Well, it's not virtue signaling.
Okay.
It's more like virtue inspiring.
Okay.
Because you're not. We'll get to the integrity there. All this comes up. It's really, it's really important while you look at these. Honor.
Oh, that's our next one.
That's right in the middle. Honor.
Yeah, this is okay. So do you want me to read it?
You read it through.
It says, warriors have only one judge of honor and character, and that is themselves. Decisions they make and how the decisions are carried out is a reflection of who they truly are. You cannot hide from yourself.
Yep.
Can you face yourself in the mirror based on, can you face yourself in the mirror after the decisions you've made and the actions you've taken? Some people can't.
No.
Most people can. Many people can. What's the terrifying part is the ones who make terrifying decisions and still look themselves in the mirror and think they've done good.
No, they're not truly looking at themselves, because you cannot hide from yourself.
Yeah.
If you got through the first 3 steps and on to honor, you're doing fine.
Well, okay, I've often wondered in the last, 10 years or so, where the heck did the human conscience go? Where's that little angel on your shoulder telling you to not step on your neighbor?
It's some of it is we've abandoned some of these ancient, these virtues.
Yeah.
See,
I got mine heck with you. I'm not fond of. Yes.
Yeah, which leads us to compassion,
which is what started this whole conversation in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it says, training and hard work, the true warrior becomes quick and strong. They're not as most people. They develop a power that must be used for good. They have compassion. They help their fellow man at every opportunity. And if an opportunity does not arise, they go out of their way to find one. And Matt had we actually, both of us had an excellent example of compassion this morning.
Yeah, so our landlord ignored our pleas about the baby birds that were building their nest in our vent for our oven.
Our stove vent.
Our stove vent.
Our stove hood vent. And some sparrows, not sparrows, swallows. No, sparrows.
Fledglings, yeah.
Sparrows had built a nest and laid eggs in that vent. And we knew they're up there. And they got shook. They had the eggs hatched. We had nestlings, and they got shook loose yesterday. So we woke up this morning to pathetic little peeps coming through our stove vent.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we rescued the little boogers out of there. And we had to decide, okay, what do we do with these? One of them had its eyes open. One of them had its eyes closed. One was clearly older than the other. And it's like, okay, what do we do? There are no bird rehabbers here locally in Wenatchee. We never dealt with this before. So, of course, first thing you do, get on the internet. Google it. And we did. Matt did. I was I was feeling loose ends and maybe being a little harsh about the whole situation. Circle of life and all. Matt's compassion kicked in.
You got to give them a chance,
yes,
even though they had a lousy start.
Right.
And so what we did was we built them a little nest out of a Kleenex box, hiked it up and put it on the fence.
Which is what was recommended to do. And went and got some
dog food.
We
need some high protein food for them.
Which I did, and fed the ones that, fed them,
mm-hmm.
A little bit they would eat. And made sure they, were out there. And we found that before we left for the office, we were actually prepared to stay home and feed them all day long.
Mm-hmm.
But the adults found them. The adult birds found them. So
we think there at least one's got a good shot, the other maybe
twitchy. We might not have much.
But yeah, compassion. You got to.
And that was just a basic human compassion moment towards something weaker than you.
Oh yeah.
Give someone a shot.
It's like, what's it going to hurt?
Exactly.
It's going to, it took away all of, a half hour of our time.
Mm-hmm. And a trip to the grocery store.
For some dog food.
For what, $14, dog food and twine.
Yeah.
I bought some new tweezers so I could feed them more easily.
Okay. Honesty and sincerity.
Very important. Okay, when warriors say they'll perform an action, it is as good as done. Nothing will stop them from completing what they say they will do. They do not have to, quote, give their word. They do not have to promise. Speaking and doing are the same action. If a warrior says they're going to do something, it's going to get done.
Yeah, you commit to action. You are your voice and your actions are one. In the Army, it was lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really simple way to live your life and not, be confused. It's like, oh, did I say this or did I say that? It's like, no, you can just your words roll out of your mouth. It's like, yeah, I probably said that because that's the way you live. You don't have to remember things.
If you're being, you don't have to remember the complex lie you just told.
Yeah,
because you told the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if it's the truth, then there's no question.
But that's one of those big ones.
It is.
And
honesty is hard for some people.
Well, it's honesty and sincerity.
Yeah.
Because sincerity comes through action. Honesty is all the verbal stuff.
Yeah, sincerity is backing your words up with action.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go do this, but you actually do it then.
I'm gonna, do my 500 sit-ups today, or I'm gonna eat a box of cupcakes.
Well, whichever one. If you're honest about one.
Yeah, you're honest about one.
Okay, the last one is duty and loyalty. All right.
This is the one. Oh, this hurts some heads.
Oh, yeah. Okay, warriors are responsible for everything that they have done and everything that they have said, and all of the consequences that follow. They're immensely loyal to all of those in their care. And to everyone that they're responsible for, they remain fiercely true. They're not loyal to the people they're indebted to. They're indebted to the people they're loyal to.
But this is one that I used to warp the day shift dryer operator's head.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd walk into the room,
mm-hmm.
and I was responsible for everything.
Yes.
Likewise, I was responsible for everything 3 hours after I left.
Mm-hmm.
And he could not get it through his head on that I operated my life that way.
That's a tough one.
It's the concept of there's no such thing as an accident.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do find that some corporations abuse that. Expect you to be, they expect loyalty out of you when they're not offering loyalty to you.
Well, that's why we wanted to bring this up. It's, you cannot hide from yourself.
Right.
Which means that if you're operating in this manner,
mm-hmm.
things start to clear up around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, hey, are my buddies operating in a similar fashion? Or are they blowing me off for, whatever reason?
Mm-hmm.
Is work blowing me off for whatever reason?
Uh-huh. Exactly. And we do find that, unfortunately, it's important to be loyal to those that are in your care.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm reminded of with that sentence is the old, if I save your life, I'm responsible for you for the rest of forever.
Yeah. Responsible for your kids.
Exactly.
Is another one.
Yeah. And it's a permanent debt. It's not a debt. That's not right. It's just a responsibility.
It's a responsibility. It's the CEO responsible for his workers.
Yes. And sometimes the CEO isn't working with all of these virtues, though.
Correct. And if they're not, that's the point, it's like, okay, do I want to live my life without virtue?
There you go. Do you want to work for somebody who has no virtue? Or has barely an idea of virtue at all?
Well, they could be, a good one is they could be operating with a great amount of integrity.
Okay.
A good example, and I'm seeing this in our school race.
Yes.
Is there's a couple individuals out there that are committing to action, fully their decisions.
Yeah.
They're horrible, horrible decisions, but they're committing to them.
Yes.
And that's their level of integrity.
Unfortunately, it doesn't, it stops there. It doesn't respect your enemies. It doesn't.
Well, it's okay.
It's skewed.
it's not just respect your enemies. And this is where the Western mind versus the Eastern mind,
and that can break a Western mind really fast.
And a good phrase I had for this that I picked up when I was like 16, my first time through The Art of War, which is another great book, is there are no friends, there are no enemies, there are only teachers.
Yeah, okay.
So there are really no enemies, and there are no friends. It's how they interact determines the next action.
Okay.
And so the school board, the officials that you're mentioning, because it's just fierce. And I really, if you're in the Wenatchee area, to look up some of these groups. Because there's a new group out there that's interested in an inclusive environment and being respectful for others.
And equity for all.
And equity. And there's another that really hammers home these outside talking points that aren't necessarily valid. And that there's actually one of Stella brought up hey, this is what I found. One of the things was the tax dollars, and there's some beef that these dishonest individuals are bringing up, saying that, hey, we don't get, we're not using all the money we spend, and in reality is taxes. We're getting more into our schools than our local taxes are putting into.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of funding that comes from the state and the West.
That's true.
And
there's subsidies that come from the state and from the feds.
And that's very, very important to understand. It is a system.
Right.
And that is what most people don't understand. Big shout out to Dog, who's listening there. And so you've got to, take these little bits and pieces that everyone's using to see if they're operating on the same level. With the group that I was hanging out with Colley Center.
Right.
One of the sayings that Paul always had is you want to confirm your teacher.
Okay. Be more clear on that.
There are a lot of teachers in martial arts that aren't necessarily operating on the same level that their students are.
Okay, so they're not as virtuous, or
they might be offering a lot less. Okay. They might have a lot less skill set. They might say, hey, we are awesome karate guys, but here, pick up sticks. There are some disconnects in the martial arts world. We actually saw that a lot with the COVID, the gym situation. And there were groups that, just fought it tooth and nail. It's like, hey, dude, this is hygiene. I've known, BJJ guys that would, bring on nail clippers and have it in their bag so that, they would clip their nails so they wouldn't scratch their partners. Right.
And it's just basic hygiene. But for some reason, the COVID thing didn't fall into that category with a lot of folks.
No, because it was that whole fear of loss.
Right.
It was that outside forces pushing in and not recognizing them as outside forces.
And those outside forces can be your teacher.
Yes. You can a smart man can learn for himself. A wise man will learn from others.
There you go.
And that's a really big one that we saw in the martial arts and the gym world. It was that schism of discipline. We had wrestlers that picked up the herp.
Yeah.
Because their janitorial guys were
they weren't sanitizing the mats
they
properly.
weren't sanitizing the mats properly.
So they ended up with a permanent viral infection.
Yeah, and those are kids. It's like, why would you do that to kids? It's like, these are people that you are, go back to that duty and charge you are responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
And you're giving them permanent injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's why we wanted to kind of step back, look at how you can operate, with these 7 virtues, operate in a fashion that is truly effective, and reshape the world around you.
Mm-hmm. If you can reshape your little bit of world, then you'll influence the next person, the guy standing next to you, to reshape his little part of the world, and so on and so on.
And I wanted to kind of leave this as something I mentioned, because I was talking little Facebook conversation with Belton. He runs Warrior Strength Martial Arts over in Bellevue, and he mentioned that he was feeling compassion fatigue.
Yes.
And that's important. It's important to recognize that happens.
Mm-hmm. It does.
One of the things I mentioned, it happens when you're feeling drained. You're feeling everyone pulling off of you. Not everyone's operating at your same levels
mm-hmm.
of virtues.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, it's like, look, you need to build yourself a father's group, a mother's group.
Mm-hmm.
People that are operating on that same level of taking care of folks, because they'll have clusters of people. We've found this is really true in Central Washington. We've found groups where there's a mom that's responsible for half a dozen or more adults.
People that should be able to take care of themselves, but for whatever reason they can't.
Exactly. They're not operating on that same level of virtue as they are.
Okay, one thing you have to remember, though, especially when it comes to things like compassion fatigue,
mm-hmm.
you've got to be compassionate with yourself.
Yes.
You have to take care of yourself, or you're not going to be able to help take care of anybody else.
Well, that's that right in the center, honor.
Right.
You cannot hide from yourself, exactly. And they are hiding from themselves. These wonderful women are hiding from themselves in order to take care of all these people, and they get just frazzled by the time we end up seeing them.
They are so worn thin. There's nothing left for themselves.
Mm-hmm. And that's why we call it, you build a mother's group or a father's group, where you've got these individuals that are in charge of these great amount of bodies, and they could come together and kind of chillax,
mm-hmm.
because they don't have to take care of people, because these are fully functional fathers and mothers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just more of a relaxing. You can chill. You can talk about things. You can download. Say, hey, I'm working with this kid that's doing this. How do I connect better to them,
mm-hmm.
and pick up skills, because you're working as equals then.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you're feeling a fatigue,
mm-hmm.
Building out one of these mothers or fathers groups to have that background. And here's the thing: you can tell if you're in a true fathers and mothers group by the lack of drama.
Yeah. Yeah. Because everyone's behaving with virtue.
Everyone's behaving with workers. They're functional adults, and that drama is gone.
There's no need to, because everyone's supporting everyone else.
Because if
there's an honest disagreement, it's an honest disagreement.
Yeah, it's not a bunch of political.
The fighting and the giggly stuff.
Yes, because if you think about it, how has your level of drama decreased over the years?
It's actually decreased quite a bit, because my mastery of the virtues has increased. So my drama has decreased.
Yeah, the big one is you cannot hide from yourself. Yeah. It's that whole, sorry, not sorry, garbage.
Don't pull that. That's what you want to make me mad. You sorry, not sorry me.
But yeah, that's a good example.
That's BS is what that is.
It is, and it really shows someone that's not operating on that virtuous level.
No.
So yeah, if you're out there, pick up those freaking old school samurai stuff.
There's lessons to be learned.
There's reasons why that hung around for hundreds of years.
Like thousands at this point.
Yeah,
probably.
it's
like I don't know. It's railed.
Yeah. So anyhow, hey, we've hit our time limit.
In 30 minutes. Nice.
Yeah, we've gone.
I thought this was going to have to be broken up into 2 pieces at one point.
No, you go through this pretty quick because what it is you go through the material and then you circle back around and ruminate about it.
Yeah, this is something you want to chew on for a while.
You need to chew on. So, hey, everyone have a great day. Stay safe out there. I know the northern part of our state is on fire.
Yeah,
and
not in a good way.
Not in a good way, and they're going to need some serious help. So do not be surprised if you get the calls out today about folks needing help.
Yep, so take care of yourselves. Take care of your neighbors.
Yep, and have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.